In the Bible, there's a story about Jesus meeting the devil. After Jesus was baptized, he went to a big, lonely desert to be alone and pray to God. Jesus stayed in the desert for 40 days and nights without eating, so he was very hungry. While he was there, the devil came to tempt him. The devil is a bad spirit who tries to make people do wrong things. The devil knew Jesus was hungry and said, "If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread." But Jesus knew it was wrong to use his power just to make himself comfortable. He said, "People do not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from God." Then the devil took Jesus to the holy city, Jerusalem, and made him stand on the highest part of the temple. The devil said, "If you are the Son of God, jump down. God will command his angels to catch you so you won't get hurt." But Jesus said, "It is also written, 'Do not test the Lord your God.'" Finally, the devil took Jesus to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world. The devil said, "I will give you all this if you bow down and worship me." But Jesus said, "Go away, Satan, for it is written, 'Worship the Lord your God and serve him only.'" After that, the devil left Jesus. Jesus showed he was stronger than any temptation. This story teaches us that we have to face tough choices sometimes, but we can choose to do the right thing even when it's hard. Jesus used God's words to help him make the right choices. It reminds us that knowing what is right and true can help us stand strong against any temptation. Long ago, before the world as we know it existed, there was a beautiful angel named Lucifer. He was one of God's best creations. In heaven, Lucifer was known for his brightness and beauty. He was decorated with precious stones and shone with God's glorious light. Lucifer was not just any angel. He was among the highest ranks, with great wisdom and power. He was a leader of worship and admired by many in heaven. His job was to praise God with music. However, something changed in Lucifer. Despite his high position and honor, he became proud. His heart filled with vanity and greed for more power. He started to think he should be as important as God. Lucifer wanted to be worshipped like God, and this desire led him down a dangerous path. His pride turned into rebellion. He convinced a third of the angels in heaven to join him in turning against God. This was the first rebellion in heaven. Lucifer and his followers wanted to take control, believing they could rule better than God. But God, in his power and justice, could not allow this rebellion to succeed. There was a great battle in heaven. Michael, another powerful archangel, led God's angels against Lucifer. He was the first to defeat Lucifer and his followers. It was a fierce and terrible fight, but in the end, Lucifer and his rebellious angels were defeated. As punishment for his rebellion, Lucifer was cast out of heaven. He and the angels who followed him fell from grace and were thrown down to a realm far from heaven. This was the birth of hell, a place of darkness and separation from God. After his fall, Lucifer became known as Satan, which means adversary or accuser. He and his followers, now fallen angels or demons, became enemies of God and everything good. They roamed the earth, spreading lies and evil, trying to lead people away from God. The story of Lucifer is a powerful and sobering tale. It is about the dangers of pride and the consequences of rebelling against God. It reminds us that even the most beautiful and gifted beings can fall if they let pride take over their hearts. Lucifer's fall from heaven teaches us the importance of humility and staying true to what is good and right. Long ago in Israel, there was a young boy named David. He was the youngest of 8 brothers and lived in Bethlehem. David had an important job taking care of his father's sheep. He spent his days and nights in the fields, making sure the sheep were safe. It was a hard job, especially when there was danger. Lions and bears often tried to take the sheep, but David was brave. With only his staff and sling, he fought them off and protected his sheep. When he wasn't with his sheep, David loved playing his harp. He played so beautifully that even birds stopped to listen. A wise man named Samuel visited David's house. God had told Samuel that David would be the future king of Israel. Samuel anointed David, which means he chose David for a very important role. There was a big problem. The Israelites and their enemies, the Philistines, were getting ready for battle. The Philistines had a giant warrior named Goliath. He was taller than any man and stronger than any bear. Every day, Goliath challenged the Israelites to send a warrior to fight him, but everyone was too afraid. One day, David went to bring food to his brothers who were with the Israelite army. When he saw Goliath, he couldn't believe that everyone was afraid of him. David said, "I'll fight Goliath. God has protected me from lions and bears while I guarded my sheep. He will protect me now." The king gave David armor, but it was too heavy, so David decided to use just his sling and some stones. As Goliath moved to attack, David took a stone, put it in his sling, and swung it with all his strength. The stone flew through the air and hit Goliath right in the forehead. Goliath fell to the ground, and David had won. David's bravery showed that no matter how small you are, you can overcome big challenges with faith and courage. And that young boy David would go on to be one of the greatest kings of Israel. After wandering in the desert for 40 years, the Israelites, led by Joshua, were finally entering the promised land. But there was a big obstacle in their way: the strong and high walls of the city of Jericho. God had a plan for the Israelites to conquer Jericho, and it was very unusual. God told Joshua to have the soldiers march around the city once a day for 6 days. They were followed by 7 priests carrying trumpets made from ram's horns, and the Ark of the Covenant, a sacred chest that showed God was with them. On the 7th day, they were to march around the city 7 times. After the 7th lap, at Joshua's command, the priests were to blow their trumpets, and all the people were to shout as loud as they could. Joshua and the Israelites did exactly what God told them. The people of Jericho watched as the Israelites marched around their city once a day, quietly except for the trumpets. They were confused and amused by this strange plan. Finally, the 7th day came. The Israelites got up early and marched around the city not once, but 7 times. With each lap, the excitement grew. Then, when Joshua gave the signal, the priests blew their trumpets and the people shouted with all their might. And something amazing happened. The walls of Jericho fell down flat. The Israelites charged straight into the city and captured it, just as God had promised.